Seeley Lake is a small mountain valley community located in Missoula County, Montana. As is common in rural forested areas, many residents rely on wood stoves to heat their home. The Seeley Lake Valley is prone to frequent temperature inversions in the winter that have the potential to trap smoke from those stoves near the ground, where it poses a threat to human health. The combination of strong nightly inversions and heavy wood stove use has resulted in a small community with a large air quality problem. If improvements are not made, Seeley Lake will become a non-attainment area for the daily particulate standard. Seeley Lake's response may provide one answer towards achieving cleaner air. It's called the Seeley Lake Woodstove Changeout program. It replaces old, inefficient stoves with newer EPA-approved stoves that take about a third less wood to heat the same space. This means less work, expense, and wood for the stove user. It also ensures homes are up to code, helps improve property values, and cuts the amount of smoke getting into the air. But will it be enough?
You know, the old days, you put in a big bunch of wood before you went to bed and you turned the damper down. It smoked all night, but you didn't have to start a fire in the morning. When you went to work, you did the same thing. Damped it down, let it smoke all day. So it was a cycle of putting a lot of smoke in the air.
I dropped my children off at the grade school and I would see the smoke in the air, and I never really thought about it because we lived in the woods. I could smell the wood burning smoke and I liked it.
Well, pretty much anybody who lives here knows that there is a winter air quality issue, but we didn't have any idea that it could be addressed, let alone how to address it.
The area that's really impacted by the air quality situation is right around the school, and not only do I work at the school, but I have 220 kids that I care for here every day.
We're trying to reduce the particulate matter in the air, and that's from a health standpoint. We run an ambulance out of this fire department, and we have an elderly population that suffers from, the standard respiratory issues like the elderly do have.
When we first went up there, we found that there were some air quality issues, primarily from the wood stoves. One of the things we want to do is try to help solve the problem up there, the wood smoke in the winter time from all these wood stoves.
Well, I first got involved with the Seeley Lake Community Council in 2006. I was one of the original members of the PM 2.5, also known as the Air Quality Committee for the Seeley Lake Community Council.
And then we started learning about particulate matter and how it affects our health. And a lot of us started becoming a little bit concerned about our children and our own health.
And that's when we started looking a little more seriously at what was going on here and what we might do to correct the situation.
The community council became very concerned about what was happening. Businesses were extremely concerned. Parents were extremely concerned about the health of their children. And was there a solution?
The county health department stepped in and let us know about the monitoring that was going on and that they needed to actually upgrade the monitoring system.
I had voiced that we could probably have a possible location here at the school, especially considering that our concern was with the air, basically sitting in this general area.
Well, once the monitor went in at the elementary school, we started picking up pretty drastic values.
Some of us started looking at it a little bit differently and saying, we do have a problem.
If the community or the county or the state were to do nothing about the air quality situation in Seeley Lake or any other small rural community in western Montana or elsewhere, the National Clean Air Act is very clear. The local jurisdictions that have authority have to come in and put in federally enforceable rules that will help get that community or area back into attainment for the standard.
One of the extreme motivators to a lot of people, including the leaders and including the people that were in our conversation, was we did not want the federal government to come and say, okay, you've reached too many non-compliant days. You've had too much particulate in the air for a certain number of days. You cannot burn your wood stoves. In our community, it's essential. This is how we heat our homes. It motivated us to take action quicker, and it motivated us to work together.
Well, you hear the term grassroots all the time. It's got to start from the bottom up. We were all stakeholders, so we needed everybody to buy in. We need everybody to have ownership.
The Seeley Lake Community Council and actually the Seeley Lake Foundation all became fairly active in this early, as soon as they knew there was an air quality issue.
And I chaired the foundation at that point in time. And we started looking at the problem and how can we take a leadership role in helping identify the problem, educate people as to what the problem is, and start with the fix. We granted some money to help with that original educational piece, getting people together, talking about the problems.
I was stunned at how many people showed up with a positive attitude. Plus the fact that it was the fire department, I think that carried a lot of weight with it too. I was amazed at how many people showed up wanting to investigate the program further.
I think that was a turning point because we started talking about how we can take charge here. How can Seeley Lake residents actually make a difference in Seeley Lake?
So I wrote a grant application to Plum Creek and also to the Montana Community Foundation, and we rounded up $15,000 between those two entities, and then we put in another $2,500. And I volunteered to get a couple friends and build 15 shelters to put firewood in. A lot of people in our community just put wood on the ground and put a tarp over it for the winter. And so that wood is sucking moisture out of the ground all winter and they're burning wet wood. We built 15 shelters. They're 8 foot by 10 foot with 8 foot walls, and they held about 6 cord of wood. Then we used money to go door to door and find 5 people who would be interested in a brand new stove. 3 of the people that got new stoves, 3 of the families, had folks on oxygen. COPD issues, 3 of the 5 stoves, a fairly easy sell. And the other 2 were easy as well. They were all very close to that monitor by the elementary school, and everybody felt really good about those 5 stoves. And when those 5 were done, we had a waiting list. People were saying, well, what about me? You know, how do I get a stove?
Because we had all these different players involved and active and really pushing to make this a success already, it was easy for the county then to come in and say, okay, community, what have you done? Where are you going? And then how can we help?
Well, the ball really got rolling when I got an email about a huge grant that would fund multiple stoves, actually about 150 stoves for a stove changeout program.
We knew there was 150 plus stoves that needed to be changed. They were old stoves. People did not know how to burn wood. There was wet wood that they would carry in. So we had a big, immense amount of education to do, and educating was not enough. We needed to change the stoves.
I believe it was Ben had come up from the county, was talking to the council and the gathered audience there about the potential for the Woodstove Changeout program.
When we wrote the Glacier Land grant, we used as a model for that grant application that the county put together how the Seeley Lake Community Foundation had done their 5 wood stove changeout program. We took that model, we basically wrote that grant application based on that and submitted that knowing that we had the community support.
And when they got that grant, they came back to the community and said, we've got this opportunity, but it requires a lot of match, so we need some help. Well, the Community Foundation was the first group to step up with a match and gave them a check for $25,000 towards their match. Very gratifying for a community to pull together and accomplish something that a lot of communities just frankly couldn't pull off.
The Stoves Changeout program took off, and all of us were really grateful for that. So it was several years of putting little pieces together here and there, and finally it paid off.
This project is really still in its infancy. I mean, we're just into our 3rd summer of replacing stoves, and remember the first summer we just did 5.
One of the good things is that with all this participation and the groundwork that had been laid, is that within a few months of getting this Glacier Land grant, we had over 60 stoves changed out in the elementary school neighborhoods alone. It was accepted and people participated almost instantly. It was the U.S. Forest Service who approached Glacier Land and provided funds for this grant. Without these partnerships, successful wood stove changeout programs would not exist.
So as I look back and see the evolution of this process with air quality, it's been an amazing trip. I've seen people gather together and link arms that have not been linked before.
I think the health department coming in and working with the committees and the council and all the other structures or entities that had existed within Seeley is the reason this program's been successful.
The preliminary results from the wood stove changeout, and this is just what the 60 stoves changed out, has been very promising. It's definitely a step in the right direction. But when we looked at the data for December of this past winter to the previous winter, before there had been any wood stove changeout programs, that was pretty dramatic. From 19 days over the National Ambient Air Quality Standard down to 4 this past December.
From everything I hear, the program is widely accepted. We do have some improvement in air quality, and there are people really ready for their new stove.
One of the issues with getting the new stove is that it comes with responsibility too, is that just because you have a new stove doesn't mean all the problems are solved. You have to continue burning right, you have to store your wood right, you have to use the right kind of wood. You can't be burning other things in there besides just wood. And the other thing is keep your chimney clean, keep everything operating efficiently.
If I were able to talk to communities like ours across the country that have this situation, because it unfortunately isn't uncommon, I would suggest to them that they need not lose faith or hope in the process, that they cannot give up because it's too huge of a mountain to climb, because there are people out there, there's programs out there, there's agencies out there that are willing to help you find an avenue or a process or grants that will help you solve your problems.
So far, this has been an incredibly successful venture. We've had participation not only from the community, the local mill, the businesses. It's been a huge success.
A recommendation I would have for anyone that's starting out on a journey like this is just to understand that it might take some time to get where you're going, but when you make it there, it'll be worth it for the community, for the kids, and just for everybody involved.
And Montanans are fiercely independent. I don't care if you live in Webo or Seeley Lake, we all share that trait. I think you really need to understand the culture of the community that you're working in and work to that strength. Don't try to change people. Help people try to understand why they need to make a change, and then you'll be successful.
As of September 2013, the Seeley Lake Woodstove Changeout program met the initial goal of changing out 154 old wood stoves with new EPA-approved stoves. Residents and health officials continue their burn-wise education efforts to get folks to gather, split, stack, and cover their wood. Now, Seeley Lake and county health officials wait anxiously to get data back from the monitors during the 2013-2014 winter season. They have reason to be optimistic.